This brings us to our second principle. Principle number 2, that will increase sales by 200% within the first 2 weeks and not cost you anything. Ready? Principle number 2, test and measure everything. Typically when I go into an agency and tell them to stop wasting their money on advertising, they think I'm totally wrong. They will say, but my phone will stop ringing. I then ask them to start testing and measuring those calls and see where they're generated from and find out what their conversion rate is. Many of those calls are generated from the ads in the big yellow book, but the conversion on those ads are so low, it turns out it does not justify the price tag on the ad itself. Here is where I bring the whole agency team together to implement principle number 2 to bring instant sales to the agency. True, your phone ringing is a great thing to have happen in an agency. I ask the staff, how many calls are true incoming potential sales and not customer service related? Which of course are potential sales, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Typically, they will say about 50% of the calls are potential sales. Now I ask them, of those potential sales, how many are you closing? They'll typically look at each other and agree on a random guess of about 50%. I've done this over and over, and the true numbers are more like 20% of all the incoming calls are potential customers. Next, we start having each person track these calls and their conversion rate for the first week. During the next meeting, we aggregate their findings, and the truth is that most agents convert about 7% of those calls. We share this with the agents and let them know we're going to continue to test and measure the effectiveness of their time selling on the phone. Guess what I see happen over and over again? The results of the next week's testing and measuring will most usually be up over 200%. That means we are now converting 14% of those potential customers. What do we do different? The only thing we did different is to educate our staff or ourselves to the fact that our success can and will be measured. Not only simple and free, but also very profitable. Let's take a break and talk about the first financial advisor I worked with as a client. He began telling me he closed 75% of the people he met face to face. I questioned his numbers, but he went on to prove to me they were very accurate. I then wanted to know if they were all qualified and potential clients, clients that fit into his sweet spot and are the most profitable. Sure enough, they were. This guy was one of the most successful financial advisors in the country, and I was beginning to recognize why. He understood principle number 2 and was practicing principle number 3 without even knowing it.